Good to see everyone. Before we call the meeting to order, Alderwoman Smith has requested I get her on the phone. Hey there, Alderwoman. Are you ready? I'm going to put you on speakerphone. Okay. All right. Well, good evening, everyone. And it is a pleasure to call this special call meeting and public hearing of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen for the City of Natchez to order. At this time, I'd like to ask everyone to please stand as we join together in prayer to be followed by our pledge. Let us pray. Father, we thank you for the beautiful day. We thank you for the rain. We have needed the rain. And we thank you for your blessings upon our city. We also thank you for every person here, those who serve our city officially, those who serve as volunteers, those who serve on this board. Father, be with us as we make the decisions tonight, discuss various issues that are so important to our city. And we thank you for your blessings upon us as we are continuing to enjoy your favor and your abundance, the ability to do what we need to do financially. We know every good gift comes from you. With your grace upon us and praying in the name of your Son. Amen.
Amen.
Let us now repeat together our pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. We'll ask the clerk to administer the roll call.
Alderwoman Hall.
Here.
Alderman Frazier. Alderwoman Smith.
Here.
Alderwoman Irving.
Here.
Alderman Davis.
Here.
Alderman Maroney.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, all are present and accounted for with the exception of Alderman Frazier.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We are about to go into a public hearing, but before we do, I just wanted to share a brief summary of what we're doing tonight. We are very grateful that we are able to have this public hearing to discuss our current budget and going forward. And Alderman Frazier, good evening. Let the record show we have a full house. We actually are just so grateful for another good year financially and good news to share tonight. A balanced budget, getting many things done this year on top of all the things we've been getting done without raising taxes. And so in just a moment, our city clerk will provide an overview, and then we will go into our public hearing. We are not making decisions tonight. We will have another meeting in another week where we'll formally adopt the budget. We also have a few things we can't discuss tonight, such as salaries that are in the budget for particular individuals because of privacy. Those matters will be dealt with in an executive session on personnel matters. There are a couple items related, though, to salary that I do want to mention. We can say this because no names are mentioned. We do have included in this budget a historic increase in salary for our Public Works Department. It's a package in the amount of $150,000 that will significantly increase their hourly wages. And we are so very grateful. It is their year, and we are so grateful for all that they do. We could not do what we do. But that doesn't mean that we aren't grateful for all others. And we are so grateful for the raises we have been able to get to so many others, including during this administration, 2 for police, 2 for fire. And we're going to keep on going. But I just wanted to make that mention. Now, there is another matter pertaining to salaries that I do want to say because it pertains to the mayor and to the Board of Aldermen. and I want to be very transparent about this. When I was elected 4 years ago, folks, I think, just didn't really know what to do with me. And the last two mayors before me have been retired. Quickly, one of the lower paid, positions, and that's been fine. But I'm very grateful that city leaders and those who have been watching all of the numbers have said, well, it's time now to get the mayor's salary for the city of Natchez comparable to what other leaders in our area are making for other similar sized municipalities and our neighbor Vidalia across the river, and also looking at our Adams County administrator, our school superintendent. And so I'm grateful that we are looking at a salary increase for the office of mayor that will put it around 5% going forward above what the city clerk makes. The mayor is the CEO, and it is appropriate that the mayor make a little above the city clerk. Not much more, and I just want to be very transparent about that. That final decision, though, is not going to be made tonight, but I wanted to make that announcement. Also, this board is very hardworking, and looking back many, many, many years, we can't even find when this board, the aldermen, were allowed a raise. And so included in the budget is an 8% raise for the aldermen, alderwomen. And I'm just saying that because we need to be transparent, because we are responsible to the taxpayers and to these dollars that fund the city. Now, that said, still working within our budget balanced. Before I do recognize the city clerk to give a little more of an overview leading into our public hearing, I think we've all seen some news that was shared in the Natchez Democrat today. We have had an issue we've had to deal with at City Hall with regard to the timing of this public hearing, and our city attorney, Mr. Jack Lazarus, has a statement he'd like to make. Mr. Lazarus.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The city attorney, the city clerk, and the staff are well aware of the requirements of Mississippi Code annotated 2739-203. That statute requires that before the budget can be adopted, it's necessary to advertise at least 7 days prior to the public hearing. The city has scrambled, and we have done our dead level best. The advertisement was published online on August 31st. It was published in the Natchez Democrat print edition on September 1st. It was Sunday. And also yesterday, Wednesday, September the 4th. When you look at the statutory requirements, it's 7 days. And our calculation is that we actually have given notice 6 days out. Therefore, we contacted the Office of the Mississippi Ethics Commission and the Office of the State Auditor to get guidance to determine whether or not we were in compliance. Of course, the bigger issue is the September 15 deadline for adopting the budget. If we had republished and renoticed, we would not have met that deadline. So we have consulted today with the authorities, and we're moving forward with the budget public hearing tonight, realizing that we are not in perfect compliance. But on behalf of the staff, let me just say this. The city of Natchez has complied with the spirit of that law, even if we have not perfectly complied with the letter of that law. We feel justified, Mr. Mayor, we can go forward tonight.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lazarus, and thank you for your work on our behalf.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir, Alderman Frazier.
I just like to simply say to you and the attorney and everyone, I am truly glad that you brought this up, because as you know, we do have citizens out here who are watching the budget and seeing where the money is going. And as you know, I think everyone in here received the email from a young lady who do watch the budget and watch everything we do. So I'm glad we got some clarification on that today. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Frazier. At this time, I'd like to now recognize the city clerk, who is going to provide some more overview information. And then after her presentation, we will then have a vote to go into our public hearing. Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Well, like the mayor said, we do have a balanced budget proposed for the upcoming fiscal year. We were able to do this without a millage increase. We did pull from some of our various reserves in order to accomplish that, but felt that it was important, to pull from those reserves and make sure that we did not look to a millage increase this year. So a few of the points that I'd like to make as far as what's included in this proposed budget. Again, like the mayor said, raises for public works, and through the savings with the negotiations of the garbage contract, we were able to put together a great proposed package for raises for public works equaling about $150,000. We did include a few new vehicles to replace some of the worse for wear, the older, unreliable vehicles in the city's fleet. We're looking at about 4 or 5 new vehicles there and some new equipment. We have several projects in the budget. Just to name a few of those, we have continued renovations in recreation and on some of the public buildings, repairs to the Canal Street Bridge, another $1 million going into street repairs, Morgantown Road, the Angeletti House, the Depot Pavilion project, the Commerce Street Sidewalk and ADA compliance project, which all of those are pretty significant projects and improvements around the city. So with all of that being said, we couldn't budget for everything that everyone wanted and requested, but we feel that we have done a really good job in covering the needs of every department and providing increases where we could and extras where we could towards those wish lists to make improvements. And draft 2, which is what everyone is looking at this evening, is showing a surplus in the general fund of just over $250,000. But there will be a draft 3 that actually increases that surplus in the general fund at the end of fiscal year 25 to just over $300,000. And that came from with the actuarial reports for PERS, getting authority from PERS to reduce the old pension millage designation from what we thought was going to be 1.65 mils, we were able to decrease that to 1.25 mils. So that 0.4 mil will go now into the general fund to help add to that surplus in the general fund.
All right. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you so much. At this time, I will entertain a motion to go into our public hearing and call to order a public hearing.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Davis, seconded by Alderman Maroney. Discussion?
Yes.
Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
So is this discussion for just questions in general?
This is going into the public hearing.
Oh, okay.
And we can come back around and have more discussion after the public hearing if you would so desire. And
I just had a few things I wanted to ask the city clerk since she had mentioned.
certainly.
Um,
Well, right now, though, the motion is to go into a public hearing, and so we need to dispense of that motion before we can have any other discussion on that motion. We'll call for the question.
Call.
All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. All right. Well, we now call to order this public hearing, and the public hearing works as thus. Anyone wishing to share comments regarding the budget are welcome to approach us by coming to the podium. Enter your name and information as requested, and we ask you to keep your comments to 3 to 5 minutes. And so the floor is open for public comment.
Questions?
Questions, comments? Well, with that said, we're going to then call for a motion to adjourn our public hearing
So
with the
moved.
notation that no one appeared before the board tonight. That motion has been made by Alderman Maroney, seconded by Alderwoman Hall. Discussion?
Yes, Ms. McCall.
Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
I just want to ask, I mean, we're not gonna wait just a few minutes longer to see if others would arrive. I mean, just a couple of more minutes. I mean, we just
Good.
begin our meeting at 6. It just gives the opportunity for someone else who may want to, and I'm just,
We,
just saying because it's
We
a
don't
public
have-
hearing and
it
everybody
is, but
don't arrive
the
at the same
public
time.
hearing began at 6, it's
6 o'clock.
6:15,
Okay.
and we have a motion before the floor.
Call the question.
The question's been called. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, motion carries. We will allow for some discussion. Alderwoman Irving,
Okay.
you had some questions?
I did. I just wanted to ask, the fleet for what department? Was it for Public Works or Police? The fleet, you said fleet was purchased?
No. We have several vehicles in our current city fleet that are very old. They're very unreliable, just old beat up vehicles that need to be replaced. One of them is actually in IT. One of them is in inspections. We are looking at an additional vehicle within the police department for animal control. One for our courier who is currently borrowing an old vehicle from recreation because the vehicle that he was driving no longer runs.
Mhm.
Trying to think. Courier, IT. It was 4 or 5 of them. I think that may be it.
That's all of them.
Alderwoman Irving, back to you.
Thank you. And, what was the dollar amount of the millage that you just mentioned? I know we didn't do a millage increase.
We did not do a millage increase, and I did not bring my assessed value form
I
with
did.
me this evening.
We
It's
have it
about
here.
just over
$134,000
per
What was
meal.
it?
Just over $134,000 a meal. If I remember correctly, it was just under $4,000 per meal increased value, not increased millage, but
Right.
increased value of a meal.
Okay. And, the Angeletti House, that grant amount, I'm seeing here, you said 150, but am I looking at it correctly here?
The MDAH grant,
It says one-
for fiscal year 2025, we anticipate receiving, make sure I'm looking at the, yeah, I'm just making sure I've got my lines
That's a
lined up.
24.
That's 25.
The far right column is fiscal year 2025. We're looking at $142,161 being received from that grant.
Okay, so is this just a typographical error up top then? Because it's saying FY.
So you're looking
2024.
at draft 1. I am reading from draft 2. But yes, there was an
Okay.
error.
Okay. There was it. Okay,
Yep.
all right. So it's
What page was that?
142, the very first page. So I had some other questions and it's pertaining to funding for the Angeletti House. In the past, we reserved for maintenance. And in the first draft, we're just getting the second draft this evening.
Right.
In the first draft, it doesn't have a dollar amount, and we have placed funding there for maintenance on the house.
So actually, and it should have been in the first draft because I didn't make changes to this area that during the Public Properties Fund, Fund 103, there's actually $10,000 budgeted there for maintenance.
Okay. Could that be increased?
Not without a millage increase going into the public properties. We have a lot of public properties that are requiring maintenance, and there's a lot of money going in with that project, with the grant project.
But it's only gonna cover the roof, isn't it?
I think the roof is included in that project.
It's
It's the
the
exterior.
exterior renovation.
Exterior,
Yep.
okay. Okay, I just was knowing inside it needs some painting, and I know it's probably gonna be a
That will
little.
be our phase 2.
All
And that
right.
will likely come in the next budget year, um, uh, once we get the phase 1 complete.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any
Well,
other?
Oh, there is a question.
Alderwoman Irving, yeah.
Thank you. When we get back to, we're gonna go to executive session. It's personnel. It's
Not
with-
tonight.
Well, it's.
We'll be
it's-
doing that next Tuesday, our regular board meeting. We'll have more discussion then, and we will have an executive session then.
Pertaining to the budget, it'll be next Tuesday night.
We can't discuss matters of the budget in executive session except specific job performance of certain individuals and
Okay, but
the
this can be done-
raises that are being proposed.
Okay,
And very likely, we will have that discussion next Tuesday during an executive.
so
session.
not tonight because it is a.
Now, you are welcome to meet with the city clerk individually on any of those questions regarding the salaries, if you would like to.
Okay,
I think she's been trying to get in touch with you
she
to
did.
have
It's
that
just,
meeting.
she did. She reached out to me. But
Okay.
again, like I said, I'm just
Okay.
not in Natchez. Even when my paperwork was delivered, I'm not home.
I understand.
So. I speak with you as
Yes.
well.
Okay, Alderman Frazier?
Yes, I just have, one question and I have a comment. How much do we have in, road improvement? How much money do we have?
So we did budget $1 million in the 183 Road and Bridge Fund. That is part of the infrastructure money
Okay.
to go into street repairs.
Street
Mhm.
Let me just sum this up. I want to say this, and I want to thank the board and everyone up here. As you know, October the 1st, they supposed to start road and repairs on Morgantown Road. And I just want to say, thanks to the generosity of the city of Natchez, that we donated some of our money so this project can get done. And like I say, this is a project that's been in the workings for years. And this board had the courage enough to say, okay, let's get on board, let's get this done, because we owe this to the peoples in this community. So therefore, we get some of our money and donate it to the county. And from now on in, that is our goal as a board, to work with the county to improve the citizens of Natchez lives and everything in the community. So I just want to thank the city for doing it. Like I say, when we're dealing with this budget and dealing with other people's money, I'm kind of like a little skeptical. But I have Alderwoman down on that end, Alderwoman Irving. She's gonna question everything in the budget. She's a little more budgetary than me. You know how women are, they're gonna watch the money. But like I say, we as a board been trying to work tirelessly. We have other projects that are coming up in the upcoming year. Me, myself, I'd like to get some drainage and stuff done in my ward in a couple of areas. But as you say, I wish we had more people here at this public hearing to express themselves and see what's going on. Because, people come say, well, I didn't know y'all was having a hearing. But as I said, I'm glad that this conversation came up early with the mayor and the attorney, informing people of what's going on. If we don't do it, a Democrat gonna do it, or Ms. Ann McCollum, she gonna do it. She gonna make sure. So I just want to again say thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Frazier. Thank you. Alderwoman Hall.
I'd like to thank Ms. McKenzie and her staff for the hard work on this budget. This is a balanced budget. We had a balanced budget last week when we were going over these in detail. Each board member had an opportunity to discuss the entirety of this budget with Ms. McKenzie. And I want to thank her for her diligence in this, as well as her staff.
Thank you. Thank you, Alderwoman. Thank you. Any further discussion?
No, I just want to reiterate
Alderwoman
again, there
Irving.
is and I guess what I need to do is, I don't know if it's paperwork or what, but needs to be discussed. So with the fire chief and with our city clerk, maybe this evening, so that way I know we won't vote on it until next week, but at least get the conversation going. Just something that I observed, and I'm just wanting an answer in response to it. smoke.
After the meeting, I'm sure they're
It will.
happy to talk to you.
Do what?
Any further discussion? Any further discussion? I've got to say this, I'm excited that the Department of Parks and Recreation that we almost created out of thin air with no tax increases a few years ago is fully funded. I'm also, like Alderman Frazier, I'm so grateful Morgantown Road is happening. And that's in addition to that $1 million we have for general street repairs. We're looking at several projects this next year. And also, I'm just so grateful we continue to meet our expectations on sales tax collections. We continue to have historic tax collections on sales tax. And we also are so grateful to just note, it's important to note that in a budget where we have in this budget, bottom line, if you read the public notice, about 37 million in revenue. And you realize that about, I would say, less than half of that is actually from ad valorem taxes, sales taxes, and casino taxes. We're going to break down those numbers, but it's important to note that this city operates not just on tax revenue, but on grants, on special appropriations. We work very hard with all of our partners to get those funds into the city. My wife, Marla, loves to joke with me. She says she's seen me up there at the state capitol shaking their hand with my right hand while I'm trying to fish money out of their back pocket with my left. But in all seriousness, we're so grateful to have a governor, a state legislature, a congressman, senators who are so supportive of Natchez. Not to mention that all of the grant funds that come to us from the Department of Transportation, MDOT, for our transit program, all the funds that come through Southwest Mississippi Planning Development District for our senior programs, our meal deliveries. We also are so grateful for the workforce development funds that have been coming from the Delta Regional Authority. And we can go on and on. And so I circle back to what we said at the beginning, and even in our prayer, we're just grateful for God's favor. And we're grateful that we, again, have a balanced budget that takes care of our citizens, takes care of our needs, and also takes care of our employees. Yes, Alderwoman Irving.
I just want to ask too, Mayor. I'm just looking here again at appropriations, and I just wanted to ask, can you explain again? We have advertisement but no appropriation, and I understand what no appropriation means, but what is the advertisement that we do?
So there are different, for different events, the city can advertise and through those events and help financial, help those different programs and events financially through advertising, but we can't just give them money as an appropriation. So those different notes that you see on there were actually added last year, showing the state statute that says whether we can or cannot appropriate funds to those different organizations and for those different reasons. And that state statute there was added for y'all's convenience to be able to go and look that up to, for yourselves to see.
And I did. And then I also questioned when we were on the coast this summer, and I had asked about nonprofits receiving appropriations from our city. And it was something that, and this was from the Attorney General's office. They stated that they were glad that there were, because there are funds out there. They want to see municipalities donate to the nonprofits in the community. And so I'm a little confused because I'm getting this from the Attorney General's office on the coast versus what I'm seeing here. And so,
Well, there are a lot of different statutes out there that have to do with appropriations and which organizations we are allowed to appropriate funds to, which ones we cannot do appropriations. And then again, where we are allowed to advertise through events to help with raising funds for different programming. That was something that the former city attorney and I did a very deep dive into last budget season. And I, again, have listed those here. I'm happy to pull copies of those if you would like to do your own research on it. But I've not sat down with anyone from the Attorney General's office to speak of the individual organizations that, request funds, but
I did, and that was what was so confusing to me. They're saying the opposite, that they want to see that the municipalities make appropriations to different organizations that are nonprofits. That's something that they highly encourage.
well, we do still support these different organizations, but it's not just in a set, a set appropriation that it's just an automatic, we're going to send you a check every year. It's through advertising and sponsorships of events.
Well, no, not all of them, because when we look at the music festival, the Natchez
We
festival.
do still support them through advertising and sponsorships. It's
But-
not going to be listed under appropriations because it's no longer an appropriation.
But I see it here, the dollar amount. So
Alderwoman Irving,
I'm just
I
was
have to say,
questioning,
we've all had our opportunities, except for you, to have these discussions with the city
and
clerk.
I thought with the
I would
public
appreciate
hearing, I
it
would
if
have.
you could follow up with the city clerk offline, because we've already last year settled the issue of sponsorships, advertisements. And also, I want to just say, we are continuing to support so many, including the Minorville Jubilee just this summer, including the Soul Food Fusion Festival coming up. But we're doing this through advertisement. And for instance, also, we're doing it through contracted arrangements. No longer are we just giving money to nonprofits with no expectation of a return. Case in point, we now have a contract in place with the Natchez Adams County Humane Society. And we're so grateful to be able to continue supporting them. But in return, we know we're getting a contracted service back for our citizens. Same thing with Hoofbeats Paw Prints. Same thing with Natchez Spay Neuter. So I think we're being very responsible for our taxpayers and the funds. And we're also so grateful to be able to partner with our friends of the cemetery. And many of those board members are here. They have accomplished so much at our cemetery without the expenditure of city funds. And we continue to support their operations. But I must say, they do way more than the city does through the monies that they raise privately, as do so many other nonprofits. So I feel very good about what we're doing. Alderwoman Hall?
Mr. Mayor, I move this meeting now be adjourned.
Okay. There's been a motion to adjourn, seconded by Alderman Maroney. Discussion? We'll call for the question. The question's been called. We'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you so much. Alderwoman Smith, have a good evening. Thank you.